Alright, hello everybody, my name is Cool Blue, and I'm back with another video. Kind of like last time, I apologize for the video quality and the sound quality ahead of time. I can't really make any promises, but I'm just doing a one-shot video, just talking about some of the equipment. So, in this particular case, I want to talk about, I guess, the KeyStep Pro and the EC4. The FaderFox EC4, for those who don't know, is this device here. And the KeyStep Pro, for those who don't know, is this device here. These are just two pieces of equipment that I happen to have, that I've acquired over time, that I use whenever I decide to sit down and play around with music, especially during these pandemic times where I have nothing else to do with my time, besides stay inside and play around with all this stuff. So I wanted to talk about these things because there are some interesting interactions. So for those who may have not seen the last video I did do a video on the Midi Master, pretty much on the Midi Master Bluetooth devices. Basically, these work as a Bluetooth MIDI device. Would recommend checking out that video. I feel like I did a decent job going a little in depth about some of the pros and cons of it. Overall, would kind of recommend, just depends on your use case. I have a MIDI hub here. I'm not going to talk about it. I will talk about it once I get more used to it, but I literally just got it today. But we're going to talk about these things over here. So I was going to talk about these things over here. So first and foremost, I did a little searching on the internet after playing around with this, after experimenting a little bit with this, and it turns out that the KeyStep Pro doesn't have Midi Through in the way that you would assume Midi Through is implemented, or at least in the way that I know Midi Through to be implemented. Granted, my use cases of Midi Through that I'm used to are this beast, the Deluge, Synthstrom Deluge, and also, I guess, these devices over here, the Behringer Crave and the Behringer Neutron. Those do Midi Through, but to be fair, I feel like this does Midi Through in a very special way because of all the things that it does, and these two devices do Midi Through just in a MIDI hub type way. They literally just spit MIDI out that they receive. Speaking of MIDI hubs, same thing for the MIDI splitter that I have here and also for the MIDI hub. So I have a bunch of example devices that I'm kind of comparing against, if that helps build any validity to what I'm about to say. So anyway, so the KeyStep Pro has 4 channels, and it had, well, 5 channels technically, because you have the sequencer, the drum, and then so you have 4 sequencers and a drum. So 5, but you can only use 4 at a time. It's a different story. But basically, its Midi Through is implemented in a very strange way. Or I guess maybe this is not strange, it's strange to me. Long story short, this device can only do Midi Through with specific channels, and that is a very strange, not expected thing. So I know you guys can't really see my screen here, this little tiny screen here, so I'm going to try to explain what I'm going through, and if you can see it, kudos. Maybe my camera is better than I thought. But let's go ahead and just kind of talk about this. So here I have the the FaderFox EC4, which is the device that I love and I like. Sorry for the flickering. I can see it on my monitor over here. It's flickering. Sorry about that. Hopefully it's not too annoying. But basically, I have this currently set up to control the circuit, and the way I have it connected is kind of the final connection. So let me reverse this. Like I said, if you haven't checked out the last video, just know that right now I have the Midi Masters talking to each other right now on these two, and I have the in and out connected over here. So just trust me when I say this. This is basically the FaderFox's MIDI out connected to the circuit's MIDI in, and this is effectively the way that you would connect it if you had just a normal audio cable, or just a normal cable to go through, because they use the same TRS standard. I think TRS A. I don't remember. Anyway, so right now I have it set up to where these 4 encoders here, they're push button encoders. They're endless encoders, which is cool too. It's just things I like. But these 4 encoders are set to the drum. So this is drum 1, drum 2, drum 3, drum 4, and if I go here, you can see on the circuit that they're lighting up. So I had those 4 set up to be the drums, and then I have these 4, so these 2 here set up to be the synth levels, these 2 set up to be the synth pans, these four here set up to be the drum levels, and these four here set up to be the drum pans. So if I go into the mixer, I don't know how well this is going to show up in the video. Hopefully it shows up well enough. But if I turn this knob, which is the synth 1, so synth 1 is level, you can see the levels going brighter and not as bright. Hopefully you can see that. I know there's a lot of wasted space on this side, but this is the only way I could set it up without you seeing the mess that is my apartment, so apologies. Anyway, so those are kind of set up to be that. And this is connected directly to the circuit. So I'm just going to play this little song that I made. I think it's a cool song, but you know, say what you want to about it. Let me reload it, make sure I got the things correct. And it's going to turn to a level. So hopefully you guys can still hear me over the music. Hopefully the music's not too loud. But basically I can go through. Okay, well, let me explain first what I'm going to do, and then I'll turn the music up so I can actually hear it. But basically, I'm going to go through and use these encoders to kind of control the things, and then I'll use that as an example to talk about what happens when you do it through the KeyStep. Spoiler alert: the KeyStep can only do one or the other, not both, which is really annoying. But we'll talk about that later. So here we go. So this is me turning down all the levels. As you can see, I can turn down all the levels from the FaderFox, which is useful, good, because the circuit is really nice for kind of immediately getting access to a lot of things to kind of create your stuff and kind of, I guess what people say, sketch your ideas out, whereas the Deluge is not as sketchable, kind of sad, but it's still a really good tool. So that's why I really like the fact that I have one of these as well. But having the controls kind of at hand, to where you can kind of turn them up and just kind of play around with the settings and stuff. And of course, I can configure this to control different things on the circuit. So for instance, let me turn these up to where you can actually hear them. So for instance, I can turn all the drums down and leave the synth playing in the background, and then kind of oh, okay, never mind, I can't do that. I would have to mute. Interesting. So I have to mute the drums. Yeah, okay. So if I mute the drum tracks on the circuit, which I guess I can set that up if I went through the settings, which would take me a little bit to actually play around with, but I can kind of manually drum in things. And even if I set it up, I don't know if the circuit can actually do this. It probably can, but I can probably set up a button for the record and set it up to do those things. So anyway, we're not here to see me perform. We're here to just kind of look at the functionality. So, taking all of that into account, what we just looked at was that the circuit itself is able to be controlled from the FaderFox. So the FaderFox is controlling a few things. The level controls for Synth 1 and Synth 2 are on MIDI channel 1 and MIDI channel 2, according to the circuit programming document, which I'll link in the description if I remember to. If I don't, remind me to, and I can throw it in there so you guys can get access to it. Really useful stuff. And the pans are controlled by channel 16. Channel 16, some specific levels. So channel 16 is the control channel on the circuit. And drum 1, drum 2, drum 3, and drum 4 are on channel 10. If I'm not mistaken, they're on channel 10. As far as for the triggers, they're on certain notes. And then the drum level 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think, are on channel 10 as well. Actually, I can check. Hold on. I have to guess. Let's see. Number 9. Yeah. So the drum levels 1, 2, and 3 are on channel, or 1, 2, 3, 4 are on channel 10, and the pans for the drums are on channel 10 as well. So all the things for the drums are on channel 10. The synth things, the synth volumes. Oh, actually, I take it back. I thought it was on channel 1 and 2. Anyway, so to clarify, sorry, the levels for the synths are on channel 16, and the pans for the synths are on channel 16. So there's two different channels going on right now, which you're seeing on the FaderFox. So all the drums are on channel 10, and all the synths are on channel 16 for the controls that I have here. I'm trying to make sure I make that clear before we go into the next part, because the next part is just basically how the KeyStep is able to not really do a MIDI through, or kind of do a MIDI through. So let's go ahead and connect these through. I'm going to connect the FaderFox to the KeyStep. And once again, if you guys didn't see the last video, just know that this works. This is basically treating it like just a straight through MIDI cable. This is one of the ends. For those who didn't see the last video, this is one of the ends for the Woody Master. It basically works just like connected it straight through. It had a converter or whatever you call it. So right now I have track 1 set for input 1, and I'm also going to set the track 1 output to be on track 1. So what that means is that I can, if I go to this other group, so this particular group I currently have configured on just channel 1. So it's just all channel 1 stuff. It's just various things on channel 1. Like I said, I'm pretty sure you guys can't even see that, but I didn't label it because I didn't feel like it. But this should all be controlling... Oh, right. JK. Let me connect this. So I had to connect this into the Woody Master, otherwise it won't receive. Not receive. Okay. So these should be all... This just to start sending these notes to the circuit. So the circuit is currently playing the notes, and you can actually kind of see it light up if you look close here. So that goes through, which is great. That's fine. So just as long as the channels match, then it goes through. The issue is that with the other setting that I was using, the other setup that I was using for control, these will not go through, because the KeyStep Pro is not going to send channel 16 and channel 10 unless I tell the KeyStep Pro to send channel 16 and channel 10. So what that means is that if I go into the MIDI controls on the KeyStep Pro for track 1, which is what we're focused on right now, and I go into track 1 input, and I change track 1's input to 16. Oh, that's track 2, sorry. I changed track 1's input to 16, and I changed track 1's output to 16. Then we should have access to the levels for the synth. And we don't have access to the levels for the synth. What? Oh no. What have I done? Huh. Okay, so that's connected. Hold on. Doing a little math. It's not math. Okay, let's do channel 10. Channel 10's drums. I can at least trigger that. There might be something else going on that I also need to talk about. So channel 10. Okay, so this is currently set to channel 10. Okay, cool. The drums. So the drums are coming through. So you can hear the 4 drums that I have set before. That means that all these drum levels and pans should work. So in order to test that, I'm going to mute the synths for this. I'm going to hit play. It's going to play the drums. I'm going to turn the drums down. Oh, it says drums. It didn't turn them down. Okay. Well, there you go. So that goes into another, or maybe it did. Oh no, I did. Sorry. That was the song. The song had a pause in there. So it doesn't transmit MIDI CC, is what it seems, and that is in itself not ideal. So that means that I won't be able to set this up the way I wanted to, which is MIDI through. So connecting this to this, keeping all this down here wireless, keeping it down here, and then having everything else up here. So that kind of defeats that purpose. Another thing too is that the KeyStep Pro, like I said, is not a true MIDI through. It just kind of sends one channel at a time, and by the looks of the channels, based on this specific test we just did, it doesn't do CC, which is not useful, depending on your use case, I guess. And it does send notes, so that's nice to know that it sends notes. So I can do MIDI through for notes. That's about it. So there you go. So there's a few different products I'm talking about here. One is the FaderFox, one is the KeyStep Pro, and another one is the Woody Master Bluetooth MIDI devices. Like I said, kind of in this conclusion, in this use case, it's a little frustrating because I want to be able to connect these things together, keep them down here on this little tray down here, and then have everything else kind of up here. I've kind of accepted the fact that the Woody Masters don't really connect the way I want them to. Like I said, please check out the video if you want to see what I mean by that. But I'm a little bummed out. I'm a little bummed out that the KeyStep Pro is not yet capable of sending MIDI through, which I feel like is something that should already been able to do. So maybe with the firmware update that will come in. I should probably check what firmware version 1. I did recently update it, but let me check what firmware 1 for the sake of being complete. So the firmware version I'm currently on the KeyStep Pro is 1.37 build 745. Once again, that's a firmware version 1.37 build 745. So that's where I'm at. Hopefully this video is somewhat useful to you, especially if you're considering using a KeyStep Pro for anything. Like I said, after I did a little playing around with it prior to doing this specific video, I did look up on the internet just kind of generically, and there was a Reddit thread already talking about it. Basically, the KeyStep Pro doesn't do MIDI through. It's been confirmed. I'm hoping it'll come soon because this $450 device should do MIDI through, especially if this $250 device can do it and this $250 device can. I feel like the circuit should be able to do MIDI through, but that's a different conversation. I accepted it, that it doesn't do MIDI through. But you know what does do MIDI through? That's right, this device, and this device. And of course this device, and of course, I guess MIDI through this device. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So all of the equipment aside, like I said, I just want to make this video to talk about those things. One, talking about the connections that can happen. Two, talking about how the MIDI works. Because like I said, maybe there is a video out there, but I feel like there's not. I know I watched a million YouTube videos on every single thing I could consume on equipment, and I just couldn't find anything talking about the things I wanted them to talk about. So here I am, making a video. So hopefully this is some use to you guys, and that's really it. Oh, actually no, it's not it. Oh wait, no. Okay, that is it. I'm gonna make another video talking about the EC4 with some interactions with the circuit. But that's it. So I'm gonna go and cut it there. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys whenever.